What if you had so much cash you couldn't even count it? For the godfathers of the Mafia, this was a very real problem. Legend has it that some mobsters were swimming in so much dirty money, their biggest logistical challenge was just keeping it all bundled. Today, we're pulling back the curtain on their secret billionaire lifestyles. We're going to expose how these crime bosses turned blood money, literally buried in the ground, into a world of unbelievable luxury. For decades, the Mafia operated in the shadows, building empires that were just as rich and powerful as any major corporation. But they didn't deal in stock options or wire transfers. They dealt in cold, hard cash. Mountains of it. This created a huge problem. How do you hide billions of dollars from the feds and rival families? And maybe more importantly, how do you spend it without getting caught? The answers are buried in the Italian countryside, tucked behind false walls in gaudy mansions and speeding down the highway in custom supercars. We're about to explore the dangerous world of Mafia opulence, where having too much money was both a weapon and a fatal weakness. Before a single dollar could be spent on champagne or Cadillacs, it had to vanish. And when it came to making things disappear, nobody was more creative than the Ndrangheta, the Calabrian Mafia. In the rugged mountains of southern Italy, they didn't just build hideouts, they built secret underground fortresses right under the noses of the police. Investigators have found dozens of these sophisticated bunkers, describing them as works of superior engineering. These weren't just dusty cellars. We're talking about fortified shelters, accessed by hidden trapdoors under sinks, through sliding floors, and even through the mouth of a pizza oven. One fugitive boss, Ernesto Fazzolari, managed to evade capture for 20 years by moving through this subterranean world of tunnels and hideouts. These underground labyrinths were built for survival, allowing bosses to run their global empires while on the run. Some were bare bones with just a mattress and a Bible. Others were surprisingly comfortable with living areas and even small marijuana greenhouses. This network was so effective that the Italian government had to create an elite military unit, the cacciatori or the hunters, whose entire job was to smoke these guys out of their holes. Here in the States, the methods were just as clever. The notorious Boston gangster Whitey Bulger didn't need a mountain. He hid his fortune in plain sight, stashing over $800,000, 0 cents, in cash, along with weapons and fake IDs, inside the walls of his quiet Santa Monica apartment. The sheer volume of cash was a constant headache. Mobsters couldn't just walk into a bank with a suitcase full of $1 million. This forced them to become masters of concealment, burying barrels of money in the desert, building false walls in their basements, and turning their own homes into high-security vaults. It was a constant, high-stakes game of hide-and-seek with the law, where the prize was a fortune and the penalty was life in prison. Once the money was safe, it was time to build a castle fit for a king, and nobody embraced this more than Paul Castellano, the head of the powerful Gambino crime family. Castellano didn't see himself as a gangster, he saw himself as a CEO, and he wanted a home that screamed corporate power. So, on the highest point of Staten Island, he built a mansion so grand and imposing that people started calling it the White House. Finished in the early 80s, the estate was a monument to mob royalty. With its massive columns, circular driveway and fountains, it was designed to project power and privacy. The mansion sprawls over more than 10,000 square feet, with 8 bedrooms and 12 bathrooms. Inside it was pure opulence, white marble everywhere, a grand staircase, a chef's kitchen, and huge living spaces perfect for entertaining. But this was more than just a home, it was the command center of his empire. This is where Castellano held court, far removed from the gritty streets of New York City. The property even had a massive swimming pool for relaxing, but all this luxury came at a price. While Castellano was busy in his ivory tower, his soldiers on the street grew to resent his detached, opulent lifestyle. They saw him as a distant ruler who cared more about his business deals than their street-level operations. That resentment was weaponized by his ambitious underling, John Gotti. In 1985, Castellano was gunned down outside Sparks Steakhouse in Manhattan, a hit Gotti orchestrated while watching from a car nearby. Castellano only got to enjoy his White House for about 5 years, but its legend lives on. The mansion, which has since been sold for millions, is still a powerful symbol of the incredible wealth of the Mafia and the bloody price of ambition. For a mobster, your car was your business card. It was a rolling billboard that advertised your success, your power, and your defiance. And no one understood this better than the dapper Don himself, John Gotti. Gotti's rise was all about his impeccable style, and his cars were a huge part of his public image. He loved the spotlight, and his fleet of luxury vehicles made sure he was always in it. His collection showed a deep love for both speed and style. Gotti owned several high-end cars, including a black Mercedes-Benz 450 SEL, a perfect symbol of sophisticated power. He was also known for his custom Cadillac Fleetwood and for favoring flashy, high-performance sports cars like the Jaguar convertibles popular at the time. These weren't just for getting around, they were trophies. Some of these vehicles were even rumored to have armor plating and bulletproof windows. The message was crystal clear. Gotti was an untouchable man of wealth and taste. But his flashy lifestyle is exactly what brought him down. While older dons preached about staying low-key, Gotti's love for expensive suits and flashy cars made him a celebrity and a constant target for law enforcement. The very cars that made him a legend also made him an easy man to tail, to surveil, and ultimately to build a case against. Other mobsters had a different style. Meyer Lansky, the mob's accountant, preferred the quiet elegance of a Packard. It was a car that said class and authority without screaming for attention. A perfect match for a guy who operated in a world of numbers and secrets. For these men, a car was never just a machine. It was a carefully chosen part of their identity, whether that was a flamboyant don who courted danger or a quiet genius pulling the strings from the shadows. The greatest luxury a mobster could afford wasn't a car or a mansion, it was legitimacy. The real power move was to take dirty money and wash it so clean that you could use it to buy businesses, influence politicians, and build a legal empire that would last for generations. This process is famously known as money laundering, a term that some say came from the Mafia's habit of using cash-heavy businesses like laundromats to mix their illegal profits with legitimate income. The undisputed master of this dark art was Meyer Lansky. While Al Capone famously went to prison for tax evasion, Lansky was determined to never make that same mistake. He was a pioneer in using anonymous, numbered Swiss bank accounts to hide money from the IRS. The scheme was brilliant. Lansky would funnel profits from his gambling empire into these offshore accounts. Then he'd borrow his own money back from the Swiss bank to the US government. It just looked like a legitimate loan. And the cash he got was now clean. He could invest it, spend it, and even get tax deductions on the interest he paid to himself. Lansky's vision went global. He helped transform Havana, Cuba into a gambling paradise, partnering with dictator Fulgencio Batista to control the city's casinos. He was also a key figure in organized crimes pushed into Las Vegas, helping lay the financial groundwork for the city we know today. This was the final evolution of Mafia wealth. It wasn't just about hiding cash in a bunker anymore. It was about weaving that cash into the global financial system. By buying construction companies, restaurants, and casinos, mob bosses could clean their money and project an image of power and respectability. Of course, the game has changed. Today's criminals are more likely to use cryptocurrencies and sophisticated digital schemes than laundromats. But the goal remains the same: to become pillars of the community, all while their empires are funded by a hidden river of criminal cash. From underground bunkers built with military precision to mansions that rivaled the White House, the world of Mafia wealth was a world of extremes. It was built on a foundation of violence and fear, but decorated with the finest things money could buy. For a time, these mobsters commanded empires worth billions. They drove the fastest cars, threw the most extravagant parties, and wielded incredible power from the shadows. But that kind of opulence almost never lasts. Their secret stashes were found, their luxuries were seized, and their empires crumbled. In the end, their story is a gripping cautionary tale. A life of crime might buy you a world of luxury, but you can never quite buy your way out of the consequences. The same ambition that built these fortunes so often led to their ruin. The flashy cars that announced their arrival also made them targets. The lavish mansions became gilded cages, cutting them off from the streets that gave them their power. For every Meyer Lansky who died a relatively free man, there are countless others like Paul Castellano and John Gotti, whose reigns ended in a hail of bullets or a cold prison cell. What's the most outrageous mobster luxury you've ever heard of? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this peek into the secret world of the Mafia, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss our next video. And be sure to check out our other deep dives into the lives of the world's most infamous figures. Thanks for watching.